Okay, I think I've just been trying really hard not to read this piece of crap. But since it's Halloween, I guess we'll have to. Make do with the real horror that is Night Train from Manchuria. So last time in Night Train from Manchuria, there's some dude, there's an emperor of Japan, and seriously, you're not gonna see half of these characters ever again, so it's kind of not even worth mentioning it. Okay. Chapter 4, A Nest of Spies. Seriously, he does not name his chapters consistently. He probably paid someone to give him great reviews. 1942. On January 2nd, No shit, Sherlock. You just told us it's 1942. Do you really need to tell us the date twice? Oh, for fuck's sake. I'm already pissed off. On January 2nd, 1942, in hopes of saving the city from destruction, Manila was declared an open city by President Quezon and American General Douglas MacArthur. Manila fell to Japanese occupation and destruction, partly due to the Japanese army's brutality and partly due to brave resistant troops that relentlessly battled the Japanese army in every quarter of the city. Wait. Do you really need to put destruction twice in the same paragraph? Well, whatever. By March, there should be a comma there. Japanese troops had taken Burma, Malaya, Thailand, Hong Kong, Borneo, New Guinea, Timor, Sumatra, Java, and Singapore. Within 90 days of its attack on Pearl Harbor, Japan ruled over a new empire across Southeast Asia. Once again, Mr. Smith, that's your name, right? Southeast is one fucking word. Annalyn Bellani arrived in Japan on the 2nd of October, 1942. Dude, seriously, why? I mean, whatever gave us the impression that none of this was happening in the same year? Stop establishing, whatever. 10 months into the Pacific War, accompanied by U.S. Army intelligence officer Javier Marcos, the two agents went ashore on Hokkaido Island in the dead of night on a small rubbery dinghy from the USS Seawolf out of Fremantle, Australia. 3 days later, in Shinagawa District, just off Tokyo Bay, Annalyn and Javier joined MI5 staff in a Western-style bar catering to high-ranking Japanese military officers on the Tokyo Diplomatic Corps. The bar had been opened in 1935 by a joint team of American Army intelligence and British MI5 agents, as opposed to Korean MI5 agents, who had resided in Tokyo for more than a decade. The MI5, you don't really need to put agent in charge, whatever. Kimura, which should be capitalized, Daichi, was one of the original group. He was of Japanese-Korean descent, born and reared in London. Wow, dude, you're all fucked up, aren't you? I'm not entirely sure that's usually happens, but he's probably a real dude, so who am I to judge? In fact, I don't know. Brought up by a Japanese father and a Korean mother, he learned both languages. Really? Graduating with high honors at age 20 with a degree in with a BS in language arts, because, BS, like this book, just gonna Daichi's language skills and ancestry drew the attention of MI5 recruiters. Daichi's parents immigrated to England before he was born because of Japanese prejudice against mixed marriages. Oh, there you go. Neither Daichi nor his parents held the slightest affection for Japan. Consequently, he readily accepted MI5's attractive offer of further language education and the offer of travel as an agent throughout Asia. Daichi knew Annalyn and Javier's mission had been set in stone and would be out of control. His only job was to help them find a place on the bar staff that they thought most suitable and safe. Javier's mission, Daichi understood, was to assure Annalyn's safety. Daichi met with the two agents in the garden area. I swear. Okay, just so you know, the word of this chapter is agent. Last time it was demeaning, now it's agent. Clap for agent today. Anyway, behind the bar in the afternoon, when the bar is mostly empty of patrons, he found them seated in the garden. What's this book in gardens? Sat down across from them, introduced himself, and described his understanding of their mission. Daichi leaned across the table and waited. Who does that? You're just gonna sit at a table, you're gonna go in and sit there and be like, who does that? Seriously, nobody does that. It's like crossing your arms and raising your eyebrows. You look ridiculous, I'm sorry. Javier looked to Annalyn. She nodded for him to speak to them both. Annalyn is here for only one reason, to reestablish a relationship with Dr. Shiroishi. She has a relationship with him? She had one in the past? That's not what they said before. We'll have to wait until Dr. Ishii and Annalyn make contact on his initiative. In the meantime, we'd like to make ourselves useful, preferably behind the scenes, not high profile. Daichi smiled and looked at Annalyn. Dropping his smile, he addressed Javier and nodded toward Annalyn. Anywhere she appears in the bar, she will stand out. Daichi looked at Annalyn. Two things will help. Dress as plainly as possible. You can help out in the office. Stay off the bar floor, especially at night. What do you think? Annalyn nodded and added, I'm told Dr. Ishii comes to Tokyo frequently. Daichi interrupted. Dr. Ishii comes to the bar often. He's a heavy drinker and he likes to pillow with the girls. He's a very cautious man, suspicious even. Never talks shop and never uses our rooms for business meetings. The girls find him spooky, but they don't complain about his sexual practices. You should have a chance to meet him soon. I'm not sure if you're just doing this for plot, but, I don't... Does this guy even have any references? Nope. That's nice to know. It'd be nice if he cited references for this book. Javier nodded toward Annalyn. She's not here as a comfort girl. You need to pass the word. I won't tolerate harassment from the troops. You said this would be demeaning, so I guess she kinda knows what she came here for. Daichi shook her head. We'll do the best we can, but you need to understand the Imperial Bar survives because of comfort women. That's what keeps the clientele coming, including Dr. Ishii. Our best hope, turned to Annalyn, is to keep you out of sight as much as possible. Daichi turned back to Javier. For your sake, you need to understand, no foreigner, especially a Filipino, will receive respect from the Japanese military officers or the Japanese diplomatic patron. Forget what you won't tolerate. MI5 will have informed you. You will bow 3 times to a Japanese officer if you make eye contact. That's as true in Tokyo as it is in Manila or Peking. Meet the wrong officer and fail to do so, you can be executed on the spot. Make no mistake, it happens. No matter how we decide to use you, the Japanese will see you as a servant of one kind or another. Javier nodded. That's to be expected. We'll just have to work around it. Despite the near-phobic Japanese reaction to all things Western, the bar became, by 1942, oh, for fuck's sake, we know it's 1942, the most popular night spot in Tokyo. Success was attributable to the availability of extraordinarily beautiful Filipino and Korean comfort girls who could be seen in complete privacy provided in an exquisite garden setting in the rear of the bar. All of them were spies. A few were in it for the money. Most of the newer girls coming over from the Philippines and from Korea accepted a difficult and risky life because of their intense hatred of the Japanese. Japanese culture helped make the bar popular as well. Sexual encounters, even for married men, were thought to be natural and perfectly acceptable. Men were not particularly concerned with privacy except at the highest levels of society. Another important contribution to the success of the bar was an action of the chief of Kempeitai, the military police, an action some thought to be the result of MI5 bribery. In truth, the chief, who was paid handsomely, had been long an undercover agent of MI5. The chief simply placed the imperial bar off limits to Japanese troops, except for officers, which should not be capitalized, but MI5 knew they would most likely gain the best intelligence from the officer corps. The Imperial Bar had become, in reality, the elite military officers club. As an unexpected bonus for the MI5, the bar was, as well, the diplomatic corps' favorite meeting place. Some serious meetings of the diplomatic corps took place regularly in the back rooms where every word was secretly recorded. MI5 night crews labored over recordings until dawn, when crucial bits of information were passed via radio to MI5 headquarters at Fremantle, Australia. Barr produced massive intelligence, mostly troop movements on the military level, and important policy decisions from the loose tongues of government bureaucrats. Annalyn quickly grew bored with hanging out in the back office and applied herself to prying information from bar clientele while awaiting an opportunity to engage Dr. Ishii. In the meantime, she spared herself involvement with Japanese officers. She became an adept at using military rank as a ploy. She would simply inform the many would-be suitors that she was with an officer of a higher rank. Javier's affection for Annalyn had grown quickly over the months that she trained in London. He was more than happy to fend off stubborn suitors at the bar. On one occasion particularly, you're using the wrong word, it should be in particular, grew to become Javier's habitual routine for ridding Annalyn of troublesome suitors. An aggressive officer pressed Annalyn, demanding she should follow him into the garden where he had purchased a pillowing room. Javier found Daichi's prediction not surprisingly accurate. The Japanese had title. Awesome. The Japanese lack of respect for Filipino nationals was widespread. Javier played into it easily. He came over, carefully bowed 3 times, and whispered into the officer's ear, implying he would arrange a meeting with Annalyn and prepare a room if the officer would discreetly meet her later in the evening in the Garden of Pleasure, saving face for everyone. The officer became the first of aggressive suitors to disappear into Tokyo Harbor. Annalyn eventually learned of extreme measures Javier took to protect her. She had no objections. MI5 was glad to keep Annalyn open for a renewal of her acquaintance with Dr. Ishii, and careful to leave Javier to his protective role, however extreme. You know, they really could just show us instead of telling us all the damn time. The bar consisted of a street floor of 1,000 square feet and of... Okay, why are you gonna tell us all this? Seriously, why? How much of this shit do I have to suffer through? I suffer for my art. The bar consisted of a street floor and 1,000 square feet and a half floor open to only VIP patrons. The stairs leading to the second floor was roped off and guarded by a rough-looking giant of a man, respectful but quietly forbidding. He loosened the rope and passed to the higher level, only special patrons named by Daichi. Admiral Asuka quickly became one of those. On his first night at the bar, he was guided to a large table on the upper floor, henceforth reserved for him and his guest. Within a week, Asuka insisted Annalyn join him there every night. Soon after, it became routine for her to leave the bar with the Admiral and spend the night at his suite at the Imperial Hotel. To her surprise, Annalyn found herself feeling a deep affection for Asuka despite finding their physical relationship distasteful. She took the precaution of telling Javier she did not want anything to happen to Asuka. To the Admiral, though married, he was not in love with his wife. To his astonishment, he eventually found himself deeply in love with Annalyn. His attention to Annalyn grew to the point no other officer or diplomat would dare approach her because of his rank and powerful position in the military government. Okay, seriously. Show us, don't tell us. Admiral Asuka was a cautious man. Despite MI5's clever efforts to get Annalyn to pry information from him, he steadfastly refused to discuss his work as Chief of Naval Operations. Just move this over here. We're gonna be here for a while. I think one of these days I should just take his sip every time he does some kind of grammar mistake or repeats a word. I don't know who taught Randolph Smith to write. Unknown to her, MI5's disappointment with Asuka's lack of potential led to consideration of assassination in order to free Annalyn of complications which would interfere with her plans for Dr. Ishii. Fortunately, an event took place in Tokyo which gave MI5 pause. They discovered Admiral Asuka was scheduled to attend a seminar at the Imperial Hotel presented by Dr. Shiroishi. The seminar was to be followed by a reception for Prime Minister Hideki Tojo. MI5 knew Asuka enjoyed being seen in public with Annalyn. He frequently took her to places in Tokyo's social life not open to her otherwise. Annalyn had often visited the Admiral's permanent suite in the Imperial Hotel, with him and alone. It seemed natural that she would be present on the evening of the conference. Annalyn was instructed by MI5 to attend the reception to be held in Dr. Ishii's suite after the conference with Prime Minister Tojo. And MI5 hoped she managed to get the Admiral to allow her to attend the conference with him. I think they established this at the beginning of the paragraph. Okay, I'm okay now. Dr. Ishii presented his lecture to a large crowd of government bureaucrats and military officers sitting in the hotel's massive ballroom because, peasants totally would come to these things, along with farmers, businessmen, babies, children. The lecture on Ishii's research having to do with protecting military troops from chemical weapons was boring but mercifully short. Really, I don't think they would find it boring. I think they would find it damn interesting. In fact, I kind of find it damn interesting, even though it's a terrible thing that they're researching, but man, I guess Smith just really. Anyone was thinking about how ironic that this was the same man who was touting protection against biological chemical weapons. Oh, for fuck's sake, this phrase again. Was widely known to be producing the only biological and chemical weapons the Japanese military and the world would need fear. She was drawn from her reverie by a sudden loud noise from the rear of the room. The Japanese army troops, even as Ishii was speaking, rushed down both sides of the conference room from the rear. Slamming their rifle butts loudly onto the wooden floor, they slung them to rest on their shoulders and stood stiffly along the ballroom's walls. What's the point of that? Wait. Yeah, seriously, what the fuck? What's the point of that? The crowd rose from their seats. Military officers bolted to attention. Admiral Asuka stood and offered his arm to Annalyn. She rose to a good 2 feet above the ground, giving a clearer view of the infamous Dr. Ishii. With all eyes on him, Prime Minister Hideki Tojo walks quickly to the middle aisle. His boot heels slammed on the wooden floor, the only sound in the room. Annalyn remembered the cartoons from America that MI5 had shown her. She thought the man was ugly as the cartoon depictions. Wow, that's racist. And that's very, very offensive. But contrary to the Western world's view of him as a great military monster, here seemed the tiny slip of a man of no consequence. Even, she thought, pitiful and scrawny. His tiny frame bulged at the middle, as though he were pregnant. Dr. Ishii was taller and a much younger man. He too was shabby. His coarse black hair was too long and unkempt. Dr. Tojo and Ishii stood together for a few moments. Photographers rapidly snapped photos of the two men as Tojo passed the Friend Award to Ishii for contributions to biological warfare on the battlefields of China, and as the audience applauded, Annalyn observed Tojo as he passed an envelope to Ishii, which Ishii placed into his right pocket. As opposed to Asuka. I'm just curious, does he... Shiroishi. Did Dr. Shiroishi... Okay, he does need to comb his hair, but it's not super long. How about... Oh, jeez, that is horrifying. Okay, what about Tojo Hideki? Um, hate to break it to you, Smith, but Tojo was really skinny. I think. No, okay, I guess I see the little pot belly, but not as much as Smith says. Whatever. On the way out, she was thinking of a way to have a look at the contents of the envelope. A germ of a plan took shape. She turned to Admiral Asuka. I enjoyed hearing Dr. Ishii speak. Do you think we could stop by her suite and compliment him on his award? Perhaps the Prime Minister will be there. Admiral Asuka had visited Ishii's facility in Pingfan. He was impressed with the work, but he found Ishii pushy in the extreme. He was not inclined to reward the man with the visit, but he also found it increasingly difficult to deny Annalyn anything. Dr. Ishii's suite was overrun with well-wishers. The Prime Minister, surrounded by several military officers, was locked in conversation with Dr. Ishii. Seeing Admiral Asuka entering the suite, Prime Minister Tojo and Ishii broke from the other guests and came over to meet Asuka, Annalyn, and after being introduced by Asuka to the Prime Minister, and Dr. Ishii wandered off as she was expected to do so. She found a small bar set up in the corner and was soon surrounded by several high-ranking government officials who were taken with her stunning body and not particularly intimidated by Admiral Asuka's rank. As most of the guests were leaving, Dr. Ishii was not wishing to offend Asuka and came over to rescue Annalyn. Before the room could clear, she managed to talk with him quickly, reminding him of their brief meeting in Manila. She introduced herself as the new assistant to the manager of the Imperial Bar, letting him know that she was happy to be doing business in Tokyo. Congratulating Ishii on his award, she discreetly offered to send around an Imperial Bar girl of his choice with whom to celebrate the remainder of the evening. Ishii, delighted, decided she'd choose the girl. He had hoped she would choose herself. Annalyn arranged to stay at the Imperial Hotel for the night. Admiral Asuka would have dinner with his family and later return to the evening as was his custom. For the evening, Annalyn chose a particularly bright agent, Milargo Costa. Milargo nursed a deep hatred for the Japanese. In the early months of the Japanese occupation of Manila, they brutally murdered both parents and her twin brother. She saw no resistance and spent several months fighting Japanese patrols in the mountains north of Manila to satisfy her rage. MI5, impressed with her toughness and good looks, recruited her as a comfort girl and sent her out to Tokyo. Milargo risked her life numerous times. She was quite willing, even prepared when occasion arose, to dispatch her victims. Her much favored the use of knives. In fact, she was impartial to the weapon. She lived only for exquisite pleasure of the kill, which afforded her only a temporary satisfaction. And yes, in case you're wondering, you're never gonna see her again. No, I don't know why he does this. Milagro had heard of Dr. Ishii and his work. She had read newspaper articles about him when he had come to Manila during the occupation to advise the military on ways to dispose of large numbers of corpses. Milagro was particularly disappointed when Annalyn instructed her to be sure Ishii was only lightly sedated. He must not know he had been drugged when he regained consciousness. She was only to locate the contents of the envelope, pass it on to Annalyn, who would copy it and get it back to Milargo to replace before Ishii woke. Milargo arrived at Ishii's room after everyone had left, having waited in the lobby until the hotel desk clerk gave her clearance to go up. Obviously drunk and peeved that Annalyn had not come herself, Ishii ushered Milargo into the bedroom with a minimum of courtesy. pulled her onto the bed and held her close by him. An odd ritual met, she thought, to arouse her himself. Clumsily, he pulled out her breast as it was trying to pick fruit from a vine. Yushi's stupor kept his eyes from focusing. Near to his stir-girl laughter, Milagro pulled herself away and got off the bed. Yushi sat up and pulled at his clothes in an unsuccessful effort to undress himself. Giving up, he flopped over and passed out. Seriously? Seriously? That's really... I don't say I want to see anything happen, but seriously? What the fuck is this shit? Still a better love story than Twilight, of course. The thought of dispatching Ishii accidentally briefly crossed her mind as she prepared to knock out the knockout drink following Ishii's feeble attempt to get undressed. Because seriously, what the fuck? Oh, I'm just gonna here, I'm just gonna keep just reenact this. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, so bad. Do you see the problem here? Just like this chopstick right here. Driving me nuts. There. Only the trust and loyalty she held for Annalyn, and greater harm that lay in store for Ishii stayed in her hand. In short order, Ishii was asleep, snoring loudly. He's already passed out. Do you really need to sedate him again? When he was drunk and he passed out. I think when you're drunk, you're not likely to just wake up like that. Whatever. Milagro retrieved the envelope, which Ishii had torn open and left on the desk in the entrance hall. Oh, that's fucking convenient. She made sure the note was in the envelope. Unable to read Japanese, she passed it to Javier, who waited outside in the corridor. He hurried it with it to the Admiral's suite. Annalyn read and reread the Japanese characters to be sure what she was reading were correct. Javier compared notes with her. When they were certain the contents were correct, she knew the original document had to be sent to MI5 intact. The implications of the message would be incredibly difficult to accept. A copy alone would not be taken seriously. She and Largo would be hopelessly compromised when Ishii realized the document was missing. On one level, she was relieved, realizing she would be leaving Tokyo and return to her beloved islands. On the other hand, it would be difficult for MI5. They would have to close down the Imperial Bar and never be able to reorganize the network. No matter. She had accomplished what she had come for. Yeah, because fuck Milagro, she doesn't matter because she's gonna be suspected when it's missing. Yeah, you're a nice bitch, aren't you? Clearly what Ishin told you were planning would be devastating. It had to be stopped at all costs and quickly. Unlike this novel. Actually, you know what? It is like this novel. It really needs to be stopped at all costs and very quickly. 50 pages is way too long for this. Annalyn folded the document, placed it on the envelope, and gave it back to Javier with instructions to leave a hotel immediately and rendezvous with her in Milagro at MI5. Fuck. Safe house in Hokkaido Island. She called the Imperial Bar, leaving a coded message which would resulted in an immediate broadcast to the Fremantle to arrange a submarine pickup as soon as possible. Pickup and drop-off of agents took place routinely, always set for Ishikari Bay, Otoru on Hokkaido Island. The pickup would be carried out within a matter of days. American submarines were using Russian ports of call, at times dangerous, but with relatively easy clandestine access to the northern coast of Japan, mainly around Hokkaido Island. Javier returned to instruct Milagro and leave Tokyo immediately, and rendezvous with him and Anna Lynn on Hokkaido Island. Javier, in possession of the document, left the Imperial Hotel to arrange transport out of Tokyo. As with all MI5 agents, Anna Lynn had an escape route planned. She would leave Tokyo without returning to the Imperial Bar. Her only worry was that the short notice would not be sufficient for the Imperial Bar staff to disperse through their designated escape routes. In fact, staff efforts to close the bar and force their escapes went smoothly except for Anna Lynn's. There is way, way, way too much telling. On her way out of the suite, while she was abruptly confronted by Admiral Asuka, he came through the door, pulled off his top coat, and threw it over a chair. You could see she was on her way out. Better wait, the lobby is in chaos. Someone has stolen top secret documents from Dr. Ishii. We're searching everyone leaving the hotel. Because, the girl he was with last night? Yeah, she's not a suspect at all. These guys really suck. Because that'd be like the first people you would ask. Inohan turned around quickly to hide her face. She sat at the desk and tossed her keys into her purse. Unable to calm herself, she turned nervously in the chair to face Asuka. Did you pass Javier on the way up? Asuka stood motionless and stared at her. A chill ran through his body. I saw him. Alan, breathless, was barely able to push the words out. Where? Where did you see him? Asuka felt the tightening of his chest muscles. No whisper. His lips barely moved as the memory of seeing Javier flashed across his mind. He passed my car on a bike a block south of the hotel. He was wearing a hotel waiter's jacket. Why was he wearing a hotel waiter's jacket? Tell me what's happened. Asuka needed no answer, but hoped that somehow she would find his questions meaningless. But he knew already that would not be. He recalled his uneasiness at the closeness of Annalyn and Javier he had often observed at the Imperial Bar. He had put it off to their both being Filipino. Asuka recalled finding it odd that Annalyn should be interested in meeting Ishii. Every suspicion, every odd event now flooded his mind, and fear crept over him, seizing his body so he could hardly move. He thought of the dishonor he had brought upon his family. So stereotypical. Upon himself in the Imperial Navy. There was only one course he could take, but he must be quick. Annalyn was relieved that Javier had escaped, yet terrified for herself. She looked at Asuka and then to the door, expecting that both he and she would be arrested at any minute. She tried to explain and explained nothing. Javier has the document they're looking for. She's planning a horrible thing with the Japanese army. She stared at Asuka, seeing his face crumble. She realized that in the moment how deeply she felt for this decent man. She knew how he felt about honor and knew he would die by his own hand, but she could not bring herself to speak of his death. Instead, she quietly told him, "You'll be implicated. I'm so sorry." That's whatever. I'm surprised this guy hasn't tried killing her. Admiral Oscar moved past her. His body collapsed into a chair by the window. Looking down through the floor-to-ceiling window, he could see troops blocking off the hotel's entrance. In truth, he had known at some level the Imperial Bar was involved in politics, gathering information, buying and selling, but espionage, the betrayal of the Emperor, he had not allowed such thoughts to enter his mind. Really? Looking back, even now, he found it incredible he had so deceived himself. Yeah, I know, right? This guy sucks and he's an admiral. As a matter of honor, his carelessness would cost him his life. So be it. He could not live with such dishonor. He would be allowed a dignified death, but Annalyn, she would be tortured, then executed. He would have passed his own death the minute it had occurred to him, but the thought of Annalyn being tortured was unbearable. Admiral rose from his chair, drained of energy. He stumbled to the desk, pulled out a drawer, lifted a gun with a trembling hand. Sweat poured from his face. He picked up his coat and pulled it over his shoulders. He dropped the gun into the inside coat pocket over his shoulder, looking at her, said, "Put on your coat." His guilt, tugging at his conscience, made him ask a question, to which he already knew. "You don't have Ishi's document?" "No." "Then there is something I can do to retrieve it. Come with me." Going down the hall, the Admiral walked in front of her, not proudly, side by side, as he usually did. On the elevator, sweat pouring off his face, he took her hand, held it tightly. He stared straight ahead as if she didn't exist. But for him now, she was all that did exist. A great calm came over him, a quiet but terrible focus as he realized his life had come to an end. The lobby was filled with soldiers, ignoring them. Asuka and Annalyn through the lobby, down a long hallway to the hotel's side exit. Soldiers came to attention as he passed. At the exit door, he took her arm and ordered the guard to step aside. She was certain he was going to execute her in public. She'd never been ill, never thought of life's ending. Wait, she'd never been ill? Really? So much had happened that had been unthinkable. Now the ultimate. Panic seized her with the thought that she would die here in this strange place. I would like to have gone home again. With that thought, in an instant, Annalyn resigned herself to die and was surprised at the clarity and calm that washed over her. The soldier snapped to attention and moved to the side. Asuka led her through the door. Outside, holding her tightly to her hand, he held her boldly past a ring of soldiers who quite quickly stepped out of their way. When they passed through the public walkway 50 yards from the hotel, Asuka nodded toward a path leading from the hotel to a busy street. He looked at Annalyn briefly, tenderly. Tears ran down his face. His hand, rough until now, turned gentle upon her hand. "Can you find a safe haven?" Annalyn, stunned, realized he was setting her free. At this moment, her emotions were powerful and fixed. She swallowed, choked out the only word she could utter. "I can find safe haven." The Admiral turned and walked slowly back to the hotel. He stopped for a long moment, but he did not look back. Annalyn, consumed by guilt at having destroyed this good man, moved forward to offer her own life to save his. "I will go back with you. I will tell them how I deceived you." Even as she spoke, she knew these words were useless, hollow, and ridiculous. No matter what she did, Admiral Asuka would be doomed. She stood still, tears streaming down her face. Asuka put his left hand into his coat pocket, clutched his gun, and resumed with great dignity to walk toward the hotel. 3 days later, Annalyn, Javier, and Largo left Japan in a small boat at Otaro and rowed far out to Ishikari Bay off Hokkaido Island. At dawn, USS Gujan rose from the ocean like a great whale. Really? That's the best you could come up with? Scoop the three spies out of the cold fog, slipped back into the depths, and maneuvered out to sea. 3 days later, the original document bearing the Japanese Prime Minister's signature, spelling disaster for the Japanese people, arrived at number 10 Downing Street in London. The document for which Annalyn had sacrificed so much was quickly forwarded from the Prime Minister of Great Britain directly to the President of the United States. It was eventually placed in the hands of Annalyn's brother-in-law, the United States Army Major John Anders, strategic services agent, whose passion for revenge was equal to her own. For fuck's sake. Yeah, so needless to say, still of telling instead of just showing us. I think there's actually a chapter that's pretty good because it's Mr. Smith's actual area of expertise, because it's a scene where some character is talking to a psychologist, which Smith is actually a psychotherapist. But I think that's still very far from where we are. We're at we have finally arrived at page 50 out of, let's say 200. So it's roughly a fourth of the way there. Yeah. That's all we got so far.